Kulunka, warm greetings. Happy International Day for Biodiversity. I am Twisa Tripura. I belong to Tripura Indigenous Community from Chittagong Hill Tracts, Bangladesh. The indigenous peoples in Chittagong Hill Tracts, like other indigenous peoples of the world, have a deep connection with their lands and forests. Our culture, lives, and livelihoods heavily depend on forest, and the forest is also dependent on us. We also have traditional knowledge and practices for sustainable resource management. One example is that the village common forest or the community forest, collectively owned and managed forest, which is rich in biodiversity. The indigenous peoples in Chittagong Hill Tracts have systems of customary laws and institutions governing land and resource use, which emphasize collective ownership and decision making. These practices contribute to the sustainable management of forests, rivers, and other natural resources. However, neither our connection with the lands nor traditional knowledge and practices for sustainable resource management are greatly respected and valued by the government since the British period. All forest, biodiversity, and protection conservation efforts are mostly top-down. There is no participation of indigenous peoples, and these initiatives or projects also failed to preserve forests and biodiversity. Governments and the policy makers should recognize and respect such practices and the traditional knowledge and practices of indigenous peoples that contribute to forests, rivers, and biodiversity management. This includes legal recognition of customary land tenure systems, ensuring meaningful participation of indigenous peoples in decision-making processes related to land and resource management, and providing support for the revitalization of traditional knowledge and practices. The government also should work collaboratively with indigenous communities to develop and implement biodiversity policies that respect indigenous rights, knowledge, and practices, while also promoting conservation and sustainable use of natural resources. Thank you. Hamlai.